without further ado, Lzzy and Joe of Halestorm. Welcome.
Thank you so much for those kind words. How is everybody doing? Thanks for having us, everybody.
Yeah, this is a dream. Thank you. All right, so I thought we would start out chronologically, though I know we will go off the rails.
As we do.
On
Yes.
a crazy train, yes. So first, as I mentioned, it's great that you have such a team of women, and it's Women's History Month.
Ah, yes.
Yes, we get a month.
It's amazing.
Well, what are we going to do with our month?
I live at 365, so
Yes, exactly. We'll get to work on that. So I guess my first question is for you, Lzzy. As a little girl, what women did you admire? Not even musically. I mean, historical or even fictional women.
Oh, fictional women. I grew up on my parents' music. I had some rocker parents. Their song was Panama by Van Halen. So if that gives you any indication to the kind of household I grew up in. But my mom was very adamant that when I started getting into music that I knew that girls could rock. So she went out and she got me all of the CDs, every compilation is Janis Joplin, Pat Benatar, Heart, Joan Jett, all of Patti Smith. And it opened a door for me because I remember specifically hearing the first time Ann Wilson's song. And this was a very special CD for me. It was The Road Home. And it was a live CD that they did in the 90s. And so I knew Barracuda from growing up listening to it, but heard her sing live. And I remember this light bulb going off and me saying, oh my God, girls can sing like that. It's allowed. It's possible. And it made, the bridge to my dream a little shorter. But yeah, I rocked her through and through. I was a very odd kid because, I was a teenager in the 90s. So everybody was listening to Backstreet Boys and Boys to Men and all that. And I would bring an Alice Cooper CD or a Heart CD to a slumber party. And they'd be like, Alice Cooper, who is she? So nobody really understood my love for that type of classic rock. So, and I've been so lucky to have met so many of my idols and have gotten to thank my female foremothers for not giving up and for carving the way.
And just out of curiosity for both of you, what was the first concert each of you ever went to as a kid?
Well, technically, my dad took me to Cheap Trick when I was like 4, but I don't remember that. But the first concert that I ever bought tickets to was Tool during the Lateralist tour. Yeah.
Nice. All right. Joe?
Hi, everyone.
Yay!
So my first concert was the mid 90s, and I went to the TLA in Philly and it was this tour of the Verve Pipe, Tonic, and Kay's Choice. It was like anything that was on the radio at that point I was in on. I was like, I love it. This is rock music. This is my music. So that was my first show. I remember looking at the soundboard and all the knobs and being like, the hell is that? And I couldn't comprehend how they changed the gear out on stage. I just had no idea how it went. It was awesome. And, it was magical. Like, how does this work? I have no idea.
And now we live it every single day.
Yeah, now it's like...
Now we know all the secrets.
All right. And, there's no doubt that you are a trailblazer, but obviously people came before you. And you mentioned some of your influences and some of the first stuff you listened to. I mean, I don't know if you grew up feeling, oh, yes, women can do everything. But I mean, who do you think some of those women were in music who really broke the glass ceilings and made this possible for you?
For me, it was those classic rock women, and I remember reading the biographies and everything that they had to go through to make it, and and I've had conversations with Pat Benatar and Ann Wilson about this too, where luckily I've never had to sit in anyone's lap to get my record played. They had it a lot harder than I did, and I think that is the most important part of my mission of just existing in this business as a woman and continuing to make myself seen is to make it a little easier for the ones that come after me. You just our job is to hold the gate open and support these young women in whatever they want to do. And the biggest
Hodor.
and the biggest gift, because I know what it's like to not be able to see yourself reflected in something that you really want to do. It can put up a mental wall. Well, maybe it's not possible, and maybe there's all these people around me saying it's not. I remember when we were first starting to play out in bars, I'd be carrying in my equipment, and without fail, there would be some dude on the stagehand or whatever. Like, he's like, "Oh, that's cool. My girlfriend never carries in my equipment." And I'm like, "I'm in the band," And then, we were shopping around to labels much years later, and I again, there's so many of them that said, "Oh, we love what you do, but we don't know what to do with you. Female-fronted rock really isn't a thing. It's traditionally hard. We don't want to take the chance."
Do you remember that one label that said, "Well, yeah, you're a female in rock. There's already one of those on the radio."
Oh yeah, we've already got
Like-
one. Yeah, and so you have to and this is for anything you want to do, whether it's musician or photographer, whatever your dream is, you have to have this teenage reckless abandon kind of defiance, that helps guide you. Because my attitude toward every one of those conversations was, well, that's ridiculous. I'm going to show you anyway, because it's something that you have to do. It's your dream. And you're in control of that. Nobody else is. And there's always going to be opinions. People are going to enjoy what you do. Some people aren't going to get it. But neither of those things matter. All that matters is what you think about yourself. So, we still go through it today. I mean, we've won some battles. We have not won the war, ladies. We got to keep going. We have to support each other. And the only way we're going to do that and make it easier every single generation is by not giving up.
Beautifully put. So, Joe, welcome to our month.
Yes.
It's a beautiful month.
So I'm curious. When you joined the band, there were, I think, two dynamics at play. One, it's a family band, and also, fronted by a woman. Did either of those things play out for you, outwardly or inwardly? Just your thoughts on joining that situation?
No, not really. I don't remember feeling any way in anything about that. It was, to me, I went into David Ivory's studio in Pennsylvania, and they just started jamming on the song idea they had, and I was like, "Oh, you have a cool voice," her voice is awesome. And luckily, she called me back and was like, come out to the house. We'll go jam in the basement," and we did. And turns out, meeting Lzzy, I was somebody that was like-minded, like me. I had started all the bands I was in, and I was like, you guys want to do this, right? And they're like, "What do you mean?" And I'm like, I don't know. Go for it.
For real.
Go for it. Whatever that means and whatever it takes. We don't know. We don't know anyone in the business, but we'll just play shows until something happens, And Lzzy kind of had that same mentality. I was like, "Oh, cool. And you sing good. Great." And I remember, you were working at the Waterway, maybe? You were a waitress?
In York, Pennsylvania. I had a very short period of time that I had a normal job, and I was a waitress.
Terrible waitress.
Hostess. Yeah, it was not my calling. It was not my calling. Yeah.
But I was like, we don't need to work. Let's play music instead. And I just found this, and I found an old Trapper Keeper, and it's just full of paper, and it was like a list of 50 bars in this radius around the Hale house. And we called every one of them, and if they had live music, we'd get the number of the person. If they didn't, we'd cross it off, and then we'd go meet them and talk to them. And within 2 or 3 weeks, we had gigs, and it wasn't just the full, but the band was gigging a bunch at that point. But it was let's play acoustic so we don't have to work to pay our bills. And we do 4-hour acoustic shows for $75. And we're like, "This is awesome." We're just entertaining empty bars. It was fun.
Yeah, decided no backup plan. That was the best plan.
So that was quite a ramble from your original question, but
No,
yep, there we.
We're here to hear you.
You've got a lot of hail damage.
Yeah.
Yeah, over the years. It's getting it on
I need
all
a new
sides.
roof.
I want that T-shirt. I've been hail damaged.
That's
Hail
not a bad
damage.
idea.
Yeah, we should.
So since we are here in the Grammy Museum, you've been nominated twice, I believe, and won once.
Yeah.
So let me look here who you were up against, which is unbelievable to me. All right, so the category is Best Hard Rock Metal Performance for Love Bites, So Do I. And the other songs, the bands were Anthrax, Iron Maiden, Lamb of God, Marilyn Manson, and Megadeth.
Yeah.
And little old Halestorm.
I mean, I have to say,
Which
looking,
we're all friends with those guys, which is,
were you then even?
No, we weren't then, but we
Okay.
are now.
So yeah, I mean, I don't know. Looking at that list, I'm not sure who I would have picked, but I don't know. As much as I love you guys, I'm not sure, just because you know how things
that's
go.
how things go.
Yes.
Exactly.
So so tell me, leading up to it, how did you feel, and then when your name is called? I mean,
Well, we found out that we were nominated. We were it was at Madison, Wisconsin. We were in Madison, Wisconsin, playing a show, and during the set every night, there's usually a time where I kind of sit down at the piano, give everybody an ear break, and do some ballads. And so we were at that point in time in the set. And then was it your guitar tech that?
Yeah,
texted
Justin.
you?
Like I went back, gave him my guitar, and he was like, "You guys just got nominated for a Grammy." And I was like, "Shut up." And
No way.
I looked on my phone, and I was like, "Oh, yeah, I guess we did." And Lzzy was still, yapping at the piano. She hadn't started yet, and so I
As I
ran
do.
out there, and I was like, "Lzzy." She's like, "What?" And I told her.
Yeah, it's funny because somebody actually captured the shot.
It was a great picture
Yeah,
out there.
there's a picture out there of me with like this look of like complete shock on my face, and it's interesting because I didn't know what to say at first, because he's telling me this, and the audience went quiet. The audience was like thought somebody died or something, like what happened, and I just turned to everybody and I say to the audience, we just got nominated for a Grammy, and it's like the roof blew off. It was like we don't remember much of the rest of that set. We were just flying.
Yeah, we had
high.
a good time.
But it was such an impossible dream. Like we used to joke about it when we were kids, my little bro and I, and it's like, oh yeah, when we win the Grammy, when we whatever, but we didn't. But we've always been, hardworking rock band, and the accolades may come, but it's like there's a difference between believing you're capable of those things and then those things actually happening. So it was quite.
We didn't know we were on anyone's radar. We were just hustling, playing shows, and doing what we loved, and it was cool to like how do they know who we are? Like, what is this?
Yeah.
That's interesting. Let's go to those parties and see what goes on there.
That was the thing, because I didn't even know what we were supposed to do. So when we got off stage, I called up my manager Bill McGathy, who's in the house tonight, and I was like, so Bill, what does this mean? He's like, well, you get to go and do the red carpet and then go to some parties and you might actually win the damn thing. And so we look at the people we're up against. I'm like, we're definitely not winning against any of these guys. These are like heavy hitters.
We're not going to win, but we'll go to the parties.
Yeah. So we went and it was just again, like just on cloud nine the whole day, and we're going to these parties and there's Katy Perry and Sting. We're just like, what are we doing here, And then we get settled in our seat, and they finally get up to our category, and they open up the envelope, and we're expecting to hear like like a hailstorm, like an H sound, and they said "Love Bites, So Do I." So we think it's Lamb of God. So there's this collective. If you look at the video, there's this collective silence, and we're like, oh, we didn't get it. Oh, wait, that was us. And so, and so like, we're all like running towards stage.
No, the best part was RJ took off.
It's true. My brother took off.
Like
He's been
bullet.
ready for this moment his whole life.
He had us. We didn't have anything prepared because we're like, we're not going to win. But he did. He was ready. And he took off to get to the mic, and Lizzy's like, RJ, wait. And so she's in this big dress running. I was like, Lzzy, wait, don't fall.
So we're just running after each other.
It was chaos.
Yeah, it was
perfect.
amazing. And what a crazy thing. It's like we go off the side stage and we're all just like hugging and crying. Like, I can't believe this happened. And then our parents are calling and, crying on the phone. We got to go do pictures and we're all misty,
Shut up,
Dad.
Dad.
It was such an amazing moment because, we turned to each other and said, look what we did. This is an impossible dream that all of a sudden is possible. Like, what else is impossible that we can make possible? It was truly one of the most joyous moments.
And you end up learning, turns out you don't run out of dreams. There's more then. And
Ooh.
yeah, it keeps you cooking.
They call that a bucket list, or
Yeah.
and I feel that's a question you probably ask yourselves a lot, like, what's next? What can we do next? Because I feel you are not a band who, just goes along even keel, as the title of your record suggests, Everest, mountain. We'll talk about that in a moment. But
Straight up in the sleet, in the
Yes.
snow. Yeah. Both ways.
right, yeah, exactly. So besides the Grammy Award, I'm sure, and I've looked at the list, you guys have won many other awards and things, maybe even, Key to the City in some random place or whatever. So I'm wondering what's kind of like the weirdest thing you've won, and what, besides the Grammy, means the most to you personally, each of you?
Oh, we're in the Central Pennsylvania Hall of Fame, which
Ooh.
is kind of awesome. You know?
All right.
Central PA Music
Central
Hall of
PA
Fame.
Music Hall of Fame.
It's pretty sweet.
What's one of the weirder ones we've
I think your first trophy is pretty cool.
Oh yeah, okay. So going back in, Catherine's intro, yes, I was 13 and my brother was 10 when we started Halestorm, and our first show outside of church or school or parents' living room was at the Schuylkill County Fair in Pennsylvania. So like it's hay bale tossing and then there's a stage, but we're on our way. We booked the show. We got up and we played one song. It was like a talent show. But on the way to the show, we're in the family van. And if any of you have ever met my little brother, RJ, he's a firecracker, right? And he's always been that way since he was a kid. So he wouldn't stop talking. He's like, Liz, we need a band name. We need a band name. I'm like, RJ, a band is 4 people. You got the Beatles, the Stones. It's just the 2 of us. And I'm very nervous right now, so just shut up. And he wouldn't do that. So I'm like, fine, what do you want to call it? And he's like, well, what about Halestorm? Like our last name, but Halestorm. I'm like, that'll work for today. Just shh, let me chill. Like I've had to work very hard to be a reformed introvert, and he's just been born that way. So he's just energetic. So we get up on stage. We had an original song that we had written called "Love Is Power," and I was on a Moog synthesizer at the time, and there was and he had a drum solo in the middle of it. Whatever, we were kids. And then the next person after us was a tap dancing cowgirl. And there was a girl that sang like Little Orphan Annie's Tomorrow, So we ended up getting the 3rd place trophy. There was other acts that I don't remember. There was a juggling thing. It's very Spinal Tap meets Partridge Family, but I still have that trophy. We got 3rd place, and it's right next to my Grammy because it's like that was important to us too because we proved to ourselves that we could do it in front of people, and we were shaking afterward and like, do you think Mom knows anywhere else we can play? Like let's go play the bowling alley. I don't know. So yeah, that's the weirdest one, but it's still near and dear to my heart.
I love that. I'd like to, I guess, jump ahead a little bit here and maybe talk about some of your songs and some of your, I don't know what the right word is, your campaigns for mental health and things like that. As far as I can tell, did the Raise Your Horns campaign come first and then the song?
Yes.
Okay,
yes.
so yeah, tell everyone a little bit about that. I believe it was 2018 you began the Raise Your Horns trend following the suicide of Jill Janis, who was the singer of Huntress. So yeah, tell me, how you knew her and why you decided to do that.
Jill and I were friends. We would see each other at the festivals, and we had never toured together, but it was always kind of like family reunion every time we saw each other. And for every time that I saw her, she was always very joyous. We'd, get into shenanigans and all of that, and never really let on what was happening to her. So when she passed, it was a shock to me, and I didn't know what to do about it. You never know what to do in those situations. What's the right thing to do? And it was this kind of random thought. I ended up hashtagging Raise Your Horns and just asked everybody, like, if you have been affected by mental health, if you have felt this way or that way, or know someone who has, take a picture of yourself, raise your horns, show everybody that you are not alone, and it just kind of went gangbusters. And I wasn't, trying to do something. I just wanted to do something for my friend. And so, a couple years later, finally ended up writing the song Raise Your Horns in tribute to that, but also, just to shine a little bit of a light. Life is hard. Life sucks. We all go through something. Everyone's got their own story. That's why it's so important to be kind to each other. You don't know what someone else is going through. Don't be a jerk, and again, just to kind of remind everybody that as for all of our differences, we are all very much the same. This is the human existence, and this is why we do these things together. This is why we put on rock shows, so we can get all these walks of life together and be like, look, we're all the same people. We're in the same tribe here, and we got to lift each other up. So, yeah.
Beautifully put, yes.
Sorry, I get real antsy about this stuff.
And I guess it was the album Back from the Dead, which also had the song Strange Girl. And I'm just jumping out here. I believe it was based on a real person. And that album was, you've always been open about, join our freak group and that kind of thing. But tell me a little about Back from the Dead and maybe Strange Girl and how that album came together.
Well, with Strange Girl, this was inspired by a conversation that I had online with a young gay woman who had not yet come out to her parents, and now it was COVID, right? This is over COVID times, and she was stuck in the house with, her parents that were not very fond of her choices and who she was and her true self as a person. And so I kind of became a little bit of a shoulder for her. And we would talk anytime she was on, like, hey, how you doing? That kind of thing. And when we were writing Back from the Dead, which was, kind of on the tails of COVID, we had started writing that and then finally ended up getting in the studio. Really wanted to write this song for her to remind her that it's okay. So am I. And again, that she's not alone. And it was so amazing because I didn't tell her until right before the album came out. I'm like, there's a song for you, and she's like, should do you want to know the title, And so she knew before anybody else, and then when the song came out, we've seen each other since, and it's just little things, and I think that's for me, it's a selfish move because when I'm in a beautiful position to make somebody smile, make somebody's day, make someone feel like they're not so alone, maybe they can see themselves reflected in me. And it's such a small thing that you do for someone, but it makes my day, And so I do it for my own joy.
Oh, amazing. I'm curious, Grammy Museum and lots of other organizations now have mentorship type programs. I never really had a mentor. I would say I had a lot of people who helped me along the way, but I'm wondering for you two in the early days, who were some of your mentors coming up? I mean, I can't imagine, if I had written to, someone I love, Mick Jagger, that he would have, chatted with me. And there's a song for you, Catherine. Yeah. But so I was just wondering if
That'd
you
be cool.
could. Yeah, I know. I'll take it. I'll take it. But Joe, for both of you guys, was there anyone you either reached out to or was really helpful along the way and gave you here's how you tour. Don't forget your socks. That's anything.
I mean, for me, I got to meet a lot of the 80s cats in the business that were kind of still touring, but were reachable to me. So we got to meet Firehouse back in the day, and I was taught by Steve Whiteman from Kix vocally when I was a teenager. We got to open up for his side project, Funny Money, at this biker bar in Pelham, Pennsylvania, and he was warming up, and I'm like, what is that? And so he ended up taking me under his wing and taught me everything that he knew. So that was a huge mentor for me. And also they're still alive, but I have incredible parents, and they never let on that, that they were terrified of me getting into this business. They were always very encouraging and taught me that I can do anything that I set my mind to. So I'm very grateful to that.
A lot of the people, especially when we first started touring, like she had said earlier, I think, we didn't know anybody. We were in the middle of Pennsylvania just playing shows most nights of the week, hoping that one day somebody would see us, and take us under their wing. And eventually people did start seeing us, and some of that really helped us was Don Hill in New York City. That club Don Hill's, well, it's not there anymore. Don passed quite a while ago. But we went up there to play some show, and Don came out after the set, and he was like, would you guys come back next week? I want you to meet my lawyer, And we were like, yeah, of course, we'll come back. We'll meet somebody. And then he introduced us to, lawyer Chidical, I think that was his name.
David Chidical.
David Chidical. And he was like, let's get you a record deal. Come on. And we're like, okay. And a lot of people had said that to us at that point. And so we're like, yeah, whatever. But then he's like, come back next week. We're like, okay. And so we went back up to New York City, and he actually took us into Epic Records and Sony, and we were playing acoustic for him, and they'd be like, there's already a woman on rock radio. What would we do with this? And he had Lee Lust from Atlanta come out, but it was Don that all, and then whatever. Here we are. But but it was Don was really sweet, and was every time we'd come up, he'd chat with us, and just he wasn't too big of a mentor. We didn't talk all the time. We did go and play his birthday party, though. I think it was his 50th birthday or 55th birthday, something like that.
I believe there were strippers involved in that.
Yeah, it was a wild. My mom came up from Florida, and she was just wearing like turquoise like mom shirt and shorts, and everyone in the club was like black leather and strippers on the thing, and she was like, "Oh, geez, Joe, what is this?"
She was adorable. She still will not let you forget that. It's every single time we go back for Christmas. She's like, "Do you remember that you said it was okay for me to wear teal and everybody was in black, you know?" It's like, Mom, just
Like
be
wear
yourself."
whatever you. I don't know. You do you, Mom.
Make teal rock.
Another one that I just thought of. So the band Seven Dust, right? So I had met them when I was a teenager. I found a way to get into NAMM one year, even though I wasn't really allowed. I had somebody else's laminate, somebody from EMG Pickups that I had met, and was like, "Yeah, go ahead." So I got to meet those guys, and then they were coming through town playing. It's not there anymore, the Chameleon Club in Pennsylvania, in Lancaster, Pennsylvania, and we were really brazen back then. We knocked on their bus door because I'm like, they'll
would do
remember
that?
us, you know, and they did though. They're like, "Oh, hey man, get up on our bus." And we were all awkward on their bus.
LeJean was just like,
LeJean's like, "Yeah,
I
come
remember
on
you."
up." And we gave him our like demo CDs at the time, and It's Not You was on there, and like went back into the club to go see the show, and we're standing in the front row, and they ended up playing our song over the PA speakers before they went on, and we're like, whoa. And since then I've gotten to tell all those boys like how important that was, because it was this moment where like, well, if they think that we're cool enough to play our song through their speakers before they go on stage, maybe we got something, you know. It's like those little moments, you know, that really helped propel us forward.
Yeah, okay.
You got this? Okay.
I felt you were going to jump in there. So back to sort of the mental health thing. I know that you quit drinking a couple years ago, and I'm wondering, you know, all of us know musicians who drink too much and do other things, and you know, there's a lot of help for them, Music Cares and many other programs, but you know, a lot of them don't get it. So I'm wondering, you know, did your life improve measurably, and what tips do you guys have for kind of staying sane on the road? I mean, what kind of mental health things? I mean, do you yoga, podcasts?
We lean on each other a lot. Yeah, you know, it's like I've gone through my ups and downs with so many different things, and you know, I still go through ups and downs with my bouts of anxiety and depression, and you know, things that, you know, wouldn't normally make sense if you look at somebody like me, like, why would that happen to you? It happens to everyone. But on the road, I mean, it's so important. I'm so incredibly grateful to have these three boys in my band, and have been friends for as long as we have. You know, we've been the same four members for 23 some years, something like that. You know, kept it together, because as the world turns and people change, and people come on our train, they get off the train. You know, these guys have been my constant, and they know me better than anybody. And when I get into a funk or I get into trouble or whatever it is, I know that they're there to help me out, yeah, and pick me up, and to be absolutely brutally honest.
Yeah, we're good, the four of us, and that's the thing I'm most proud of out of all this, you know, Grammys and all these things. But what's to me the most important thing is just the four of us. It's making sure we're cool. You know, everyone's cool and everyone's happy. And if someone doesn't seem happy or something, you know, we talk about it. It's like a relationship. You got to talk about it and get into it, right? Let's get into it right now. And it's not, or like if you're pissing me off, or if you're fucking up, you know, like, hey, you're fucking up, and it's not fuck you. It's just like, what's up? Let's talk about it, you know, and to keep the communication open, and we're doing great. We still love hanging out and touring, and we still laugh ourselves.
Laugh to the point of tears every
Yeah.
day. You know, and I think it helps that we all haven't matured much since we all started.
Stalled
You
out
know,
young.
If you haven't talked about farts or, you know, anything by noon, you know, it's just not going to be a good day. You know, it's like always find a way.
All right. Should I use that segue? Speaking of farts,
Speaking of farts, yeah. How's that guitar solo working out? I'm kidding.
is there a new pedal? No,
Yeah. He does have a fart pedal.
Oh, yeah?
They make those, yeah, where it turns
And fart pedal,
it
too.
turns your guitar riffs into farts. So
My riffs have gotten immeasurably better.
yes.
Did you bring it tonight?
You'll find out.
All right. I can hardly wait.
Especially the front row.
Yep.
Maybe you can work.
Recommend. Part solo, yeah.
Exactly. One thing when we were up in the green room, that'll be the second part of my question, but let's talk about Ozzy Osbourne and Black Sabbath. First, I'm just curious, when did you guys first meet Ozzy and Mrs. O?
That was the first time, and
We had back to the beginning. It was the
What?
first time we met
Yeah.
Sharon, and we didn't even meet Ozzy. We just like
yeah, it's like
we didn't go down there because everyone was so swamped, and we're like, oh, it's okay. We'll just we're gonna be cool. Like everyone, we were the young band there, and just to be there was like we're like, oh man, we get to like pay tribute to Ozzy, and we didn't know how deep into his health condition he was. So we're like, it's cool. I'm sure we'll meet him and say hi. I mean, that's going to happen, right? And so we were just kind of waiting for the right opportunity, and it didn't. He popped into the after party, but was swamped, and we're like, we'll be cool. We didn't want to be like Germs and Ozzy, 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 yo, 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 yo. Yeah, like everyone was doing that, and it was like, no, we'll see him. We're here, and bummer, but just to be there, honestly, was enough.
Do you know how you came to be on that show?
Well, Sharon asked for us.
Okay.
Yeah.
yeah, which was a crazy email to get.
Okay, yes.
How does she know who we are?
What's going on? Yeah, what an honor, and of course, we said yes, and that show, I don't think we'll ever experience anything like it. It was amazing. We got in for rehearsals the day before, and you're among these like rock gods, right? So Steven Tyler's bouncing around. There's Metallica, everybody, but everyone's so giddy. They were all like, everybody was children again. They're like, "Can you believe that we're here? This is so great!" And it's just a love fest backstage.
Yeah, it was a vibe. It was really, really cool. It was special. It was like just the most magical musical weekend that I've ever witnessed or been a part of.
I'm so sorry I didn't go. I woke up early to watch it, and I, moved to tears. If anyone did not see, let me double check here. You did Ultimate Sin, right? And you did it with Jakey Lee, Nuno, Mike Borden.
Yep.
And you wore an
Insane.
incredible red dress, I must
yes,
say. So
yes.
yeah. So
And somebody pointed out to me, I guess with Ultimate Sin, the video, there was a woman in the red dress, which I totally did on purpose. Knew that. But yeah, I mean, it's amazing. I had so many moments that day of, me being a kid, and, Ozzy's legendary. It's almost like he wasn't even human. He's just up there. And my name wouldn't be spelled Lzzy without Ozzy Osbourne. So it's like there's all these little moments. The first riff I ever learned was Heaven and Hell by Black Sabbath. It's like these little moments of like, if my kid self could see me now, she wouldn't believe this. And, just to be included and to be there and to be a woman representing in the metal genre. When we were on stage, we went into one of our songs, Rain Your Blood on Me, and all the girls got up on their shoulders, and I'm like, oh my gosh, see, letting themselves be seen, and saying, yes, this is our genre. It was incredible. Everybody, we all cried. When the Ozzy performance was incredible because he was so joyous and so happy to be there. It was, it was also, he was frustrated because he kept trying to get out of his chair, and he couldn't. But he was so happy to be there. And you look around the entire stadium, and everyone is there for the same reason, and they're just locked in. He starts singing "Mama, I'm Coming Home." I start crying. I turn to him. I'm like, "Oh, you're crying." And then we look at everybody. Everybody's eyes are sweating.
He was home.
Yeah, he was home.
He was back
a moment.
to his home for the first and last time at the stadium, and it was wild. It was like that many people around you, all kind of rocking the same emotion, and like intensified it or something. It was like an elevation feeling. It was really magical. It was magical. Like that's the magic of music. It can just bring that out of a human, and that was one of those great moments in life, I think.
had you planned that you were going to tell him about your name and all that stuff? If
we had the
in your head?
opportunity,
Yeah.
yes, I was going to do that. And yeah, but at the same time, it's we appreciate the fact that we were there, and it's like, I don't know, give the man some space. He's been through a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's beautiful. So I thought we would transition. I don't know. I saw your set list, but I can't remember everything on it, and I won't give anything away. But let's talk about your latest record. Um, I mean, first of all, the cover is so gorgeous. I know we don't have a screen here,
Thank you.
but the concept of Everest, as you said, climb every mountain. I guess let me look here because I know how important your producer was, and he's worked with Brandy Carlisle, Chris Stapleton, Jason Isbell, more kind of Americana country leading people. The producer is Dave Cobb. So why did you pick him sonically or otherwise? And yeah, tell me about it.
We don't like being comfortable with anything that we do. It's like as soon as we start kind of understanding how things are going, and we have to shake it up. And so we wanted to make ourselves uncomfortable on this record, and in order to bring something new.
And we'd been talking about, we're just such a fan. Like it was like with Nick Raskulinecz, who produced Back from the Dead and Vicious. We've been working with him for a whole bunch of years. And he was a name that every time we'd see a rock or some record we loved, we'd look and it'd always be Nick's name on there. Like, who is this guy? And we're lucky enough to end up working with him eventually. And the same sort of thing with Dave Cobb. Like, we love those Isbell records and, Rival Sons and the Greta Van Fleet kids were working with him. And
Brandy Carlisle.
Brandy and Chris. And Sturgill Simpson, that record you did with him was so good. And we just kept seeing his name. And he was there in Nashville. So we had our A&R guy reach out. And he was like, yeah, I'd love to work with him. And we're like, okay, cool. What does that mean? And
what do we do? Where do we go?
And and we wanted to just shake it up, like we love Nick. We weren't trying to not work with Nick, but we were trying to see how this would go, like get a new coach in there to kind of put some different guide rails in, Yeah,
and it was different. We walked in, he has a house in Savannah, Georgia, that's like a studio house. So there's like beds up top and there's a kitchen, and it's like literally away from everything. And then in the basement or in the bottom, it's like all the equipment you could ever need and a board and all that. And so we're staying at the house. So we go there for the first time. And, as we do, we roll in with, it's like, here's some riffs and here's like half written songs. Here's a chorus, here's lines. And he looks at us and he's like, oh no, we're not doing any of that. I don't want to, he's like, I don't want to work on, he's like, I don't do demos. I don't want to work on anything you were working on yesterday. Like what I want to do with you guys is we wake up every morning, like 11 a.m. Who's got something? You got a line, you got a title, and we're going to let that guide us. And as we're writing, we're going to be recording in real time. So we look at each other and it was like, that sounds terrifying.
Uncomfortable.
We are not prepared. Yeah. And here we go. Yeah.
It was awesome. We went in with the guitars on our back and 20 some years of being a band. And, it was a lot of fun. And also like you're just flying by the seat of your pants the whole time and not overthinking anything, which is a gift in and of itself.
Yeah, because you can overthink things to death. We've done that on records where it's like there's 6 different versions of this song. We don't know which one. Like we don't even know. I don't even like the song anymore. And
you make a demo and you capture this magic when you first think of this idea and have this thing happen. Then you go into the studio and you try to like, all right, let's do that. Make that magic
again. Yeah.
But you already did it once, and sometimes it works, and sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes it's better, but this time it was just like we're doing it as we think of it. We're putting it down, and it was awesome.
Yeah, and it was brilliant because as we were writing, we didn't have time to overthink anything, and we didn't have time to write these songs for anyone else. We weren't thinking about, is radio going to like it? Is the label going to like it? Or even are the fans going to like it? It's like, what do we feel right now in this moment, and what are we going through? And when you're put in that kind of, fight or flight, life or death situation, that's when certain things come out that you probably wouldn't have even thought of if you were sitting down and really like, working on things. So there's so many
and you
magical
leave
moments.
Things in that you would have edited out
That's
for
true.
sure, but they're
Like what?
Oh, I don't know. No, but the things that end up being like, oh, that actually is great. I'm really glad we left that. Like that's so necessary for this song. And I don't know. I can't think of anything off the top of my head, but it was just
there
fun.
I believe there are 2 songs that we forgot to put like a guide click track to.
Yeah.
And we had like built the song up and we like finished it and we're like, did we put a click on this? It's like,
Oh, that's ebbing and flowing.
So yeah, so like you can feel like kind of the human ebb and flow to it, and I remember saying that to, like, it's like, should we just do it again? He's like, no, this is the take. What are you talking about? You know, so
Yeah, if we learned anything, it was there are no rules. Like, it's okay. Just get the magic.
And was it instantly obvious that Everest would be the title track?
Not at first. Not at first. You know, when Everest came along, we had a handful of songs that we had done, but it did keep raising its hand, you know, and with Everest, that was born out of a conversation we were all having about why do we do this, you know, like why do you sacrifice your life for your dream and to do what you love, you know, and we likened it to people that climb Mount Everest. I'm like, it's not like you get a trophy at the top or there's $100 million waiting for you. Like, you could die doing it. You're walking over bodies, you know, it's like the music industry, you know, this is what happens.
Man.
You know, it's dangerous. There's no guarantee of success. And so why do you do it? Because you have to see if you can. You have to see if you can, and it's that life's mission. So yeah, it just more and more throughout the record, we're like, I think this is what this is about.
Beautiful. Just a couple more questions. I don't remember where I read this or if you told me this, but I know you were friends with Linda Perry, and she told you the quote, I believe, quote, if you are rock and roll, you don't have to try, you just have to exist and be a vessel for it to come through. So how do you resonate with that, and how do you channel? I mean, and also, part 3, do you think rockers can be made, or are they born?
Interesting. Well, let me first say, every
Multi-part.
time that I hang out with Linda Perry, everything that falls out of her mouth is like the line of a song. It's like brilliance. But yeah, we were talking about the state of the music business, and she, you know, she's so blunt. She's like, oh, everybody's a try hard, you know, and she's like, when you are rock and roll, you don't have to try. You have to exist and let it come through you. And it was just so brilliant because it was like, you know what, you're right. It's like, because I feel like we all go through that in the music industry. It's like, are we doing the right thing? Is this the right turn? And ultimately you have to trust yourself and know that you're in this for a reason. You're still here for a reason. To answer your third question, I think that they can be made and will last for a little while, you know, but it's not a lifer situation.
If they try hard enough.
If you try, yeah, because, you know, I think that you can only keep up the illusion for so long, and a lot of people, you know, are in it for the wrong reasons. You know, if you are, you know, if you're in this because you want to be rich, you want to be famous, you want to be liked, you know, it's not going to work out. You have to do this for yourself. And, you know, and I keep this mentality. I have to keep reminding myself of this. But, you know, when you do what you love, there's always going to be people that are going to dislike what you do. You're going to be hated. You're going to be loved. You know, and it's not all, and neither one of those things is going to last forever. And so that can't be your anchor. Money's not always going to be there. You know, fame is sure that it's great to be admired, but that's not the thing, and it will drive you insane, and it doesn't fill that hole within you. So you have to be great. You know, you have to be good with yourself, and you have to understand that you're doing this because there's a primal need to be here, and you may not even know that answer as to why you're doing it, what you're doing. You know, it's like you can analyze all you want, but it still exists, and that's the flame that you have to follow.
Very inspirational. Thank you. We have our yellow light, which means we're slowly wrapping up.
I love that there's.
I know.
I need one of those, like, whenever I get into a conversation. Like, Lzzy, you've been talking too much.
Yellow light, Lzzy.
Like,
is it better?
You got 10 minutes.
Right.
No.
Or that, you know, the cane they used to have in the cartoons where they yank you off stage. I want that instead. So yeah, let's maybe stick with Everest a little more. Obviously, the song "Like a Woman Can" got tons of attention. I guess maybe talk about the writing musically and lyrically for that.
It was a spicy one. So the line that came to me that I wrote down in my notebook was, "Why can't you love me like a woman can?" And it started out as a conversation that I was listening to that Meryl Streep was having. She was talking about Mars and Venus, and how the language of men and women, and how that is always something that we're trying to meet in the middle. You know, and there's also the very obvious fact that, and look, I am bisexual, so I love my boys. I will always love, my men, but nobody knows a woman like a woman knows a woman. So, we were, when I brought this up to the guys, they're like, "Oh, that's gonna make some people uncomfortable. That's great. Let's do it. Let's do it. I'm in." But started as kind of this cadence on piano, and this kind of downward progression, and I really wanted to swing with this one, and not make it this like crazy, heavy metal song, but like really kind of go into some kind of blues roots and all of that. It just felt right. And ended up making this demo just kind of like simple, piano and vocal. I ended up doing all of the vocals to it, and then I ended up getting a cold shortly after that. And it's like, thank God we got the take. But then we ended up building the song, rocking it up and building
Yeah, that
it
was a
around
fun
that
one.
vocal
We
take.
built around the vocal.
Yeah.
And
Kind of went in the back door there,
Yeah.
so to speak. You can take
And,
that. You can take that. It's fine.
no, it was fun. It was fun to, like, you're such a
Sorry.
soul. Yeah. You're such a soul singer, and and like in like this hard rock genre that's fairly rare, so how do you make this sound like our band? And that was the fun challenge with this one, and add this rock to it. And I don't know, it turned out great, I think.
I still love it. I enjoy it.
Me
We
too.
might play it later.
Maybe.
Ooh. Well, there's a million more things I'd like to ask, but I'll just mention, you're the first female Gibson guitar ambassador, which, congrats, that's really cool.
Which is another thing that blows my mind, because of all of the women that came before. I'm like, surely there was someone else. But even obviously, I'm glad to be here. The biggest gift that has come from that is not the title or anything, but the fact that there are so many girls that come up to me after the show and say, "I started playing guitar because of you." And it's that same thing we were talking about before, seeing yourself reflected in someone. Just to be able to be in a position to let these young girls say, "No, it's okay." Believe me, if I can do it, anybody can. Get in there. Do it. And it's just it's beautiful. And then over the course of actually the last couple years, the demographic for the people that buy guitars the most from Gibson have been women over the past many years now. So I'm very, very proud to be a part of it.
And so now you have your own badge at the NAMM show?
Yeah, now I have my own badge at the NAMM show.
Okay, good.
It says Lzzy Hale. Sometimes they spell it wrong still, but that's okay. I can.
Yeah, that must be hard to drop a vowel.
Can't
as
drop
they
those
say.
vowels. Yeah, can't beat them.
All right. Well, I think let's take audience questions, because I know
Hell yeah.
people have many. And first of all, thank you guys. I wish
thank
I'd
you so
had
much.
you at 13.
We
because-
love you. We love you.
Thank
because
you.
I gave you Alice Cooper's shoes, I believe.
I still have those. They're literally on the shelf next to there. I have my Grammy and my trophy from the Schuylkill County Fair, and then the Alice Cooper shoes that he signed. Yes.
Yeah, we used to give
Coops
away his
boots.
clothing on the radio show, and I believe you were a guest on the radio show. I'm like, take Alice's shoes, please.
The only bummer is that I'm a Sasquatch, and I just didn't fit in them. So they hang on the wall.
Maybe we can. What size are you? I'm
Size
10.
9.
Oh,
That's yeah.
Yours are better.
Yeah.
All right. So, would you guys like to? Would you guys like to choose a few people here? Too much pressure? All right.
Honey, you had your hand up like right away. Yeah.
I think if you could stand up so we can all hear you. Sorry, or vocalize loudly.
Hi, my name is Karina. I'm from Brazil, and I moved to Los Angeles recently, and I was so happy that I was finally being able to see Halestorm in Los Angeles, and then you guys are coming to Brazil now.
Yes, I know. We're switching places. Yeah.
Was that you in the comments?
All of us. So I would like to say some things. First, thank you for your song, because you really helped me through my difficult period. You're my biggest inspiration. I named my dog that for.
Oh, that's awesome. Thank you so much.
I'm also a singer. You guys like and comment on my videos, and thank you so much.
Oh, that's wonderful.
And I would like to ask about touring, because you never stop, both of you. And I did my last tour in December, and my voice cracked, and it was awful. So I'd like to ask about vocally, what do you do in a bad day?
Oh, on a bad day. That's a great
She's asking
question.
what do you do on a bad day with
Yeah.
all the touring and all that?
You have to. A lot of this is more of a mental game than even physical, because I've been there, or I can think myself into oblivion. And as far as physically, lots of rest. If you still have to go on and you're feeling tired, talking all day does not help. If you're tired, shut up, basically. Lots of water, light exercise. You don't have to hurt yourself, but sometimes that helps. And do your warm-ups to the best of your ability. But then once you hit the stage, get yourself to a point where you forget about all of that. You have to just trust and say, hey, I've done the best that I can, and I'm going to go out there and make this a special night, and maybe my voice isn't going to be what it was 2 days ago or whatever it was, but this is a special night for everyone. I tell myself that when I'm not having an on night, because if you go out there with confidence, you will end up forgetting that you have a cold or something, and then something special may happen. Maybe your voice won't even crack. But even if it does, you have to understand that the audience. A lot of people that come up to see me, sometimes my worst shows, they say were my best shows. So don't worry about failing anyone or whether or not you're pleasing everybody in the audience. Just have fun and understand that you're human. We are human, and especially if you're doing it right and you're not going up and miming. You're doing it real. So be proud of yourself for showing up and giving the people a show.
What is your band called?
My name is called Ellen Key. I hope to sing with you.
Oh, that would be lovely. Absolutely. Yes, great to meet you.
Thank you. All right. Joe, do you want to?
I'm on this side. You in the white shirt, Miss.
Farron. Hi, my name's Farron. Yes, I discovered you guys back in like 2013, 14, and it was the Live in Philly I discovered on YouTube, which was 2010. And I'm like, where have I been? How did I not know these guys? It like blew my mind. I thought I was like missing out on something. And then just to see your guys' career just go where it's gone today, it's been incredible to watch. So, just congratulations on that. And then to see the Wembley. We watch Wembley as a family now all the time. I have two little kids now. So anyways, I met you guys back in 2017. I think it was like the basement in Nashville or something. You guys were doing like you popped in for like 2 songs. And I talked to you guys after, and Joe, I asked you, I'm a filmmaker in San Francisco, and I asked you about a documentary or some kind of like, on the road show. Is there any kind of movie or documentary in the works or anything?
Is there any kind of movie or documentary?
Yeah, I mean, like you just said, like dream big, what's next, and I'm just kind of wondering if there's something in the
I mean,
pipeline in the future.
I wouldn't say no. I would.
told me we're not there yet. I think that's what
Yeah.
words were in 2017. We're not there yet.
Well, I mean,
Your scale on that now.
there isn't anything right now, but I don't know.
We're open to it.
Yeah. Why? Sure. I don't know.
Dude,
We're just trying to make music.
yeah. Dude. Oh, thank you so much.
You're sweet. Thank you.
I wonder who would play me. Yeah, I know.
Documentary, Lzzy.
But
I know. No, there will be a period in time where that's necessary, because like we've had quite the long journey, and all the stories are true, So it definitely is something that I would love to dabble in eventually.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
And Kristen Stewart would play you.
Oh, there you go.
I'm fine with that. I'm good with that.
All right. There's maybe should we go to the back
Yeah,
or
go.
what? Yeah, anyone in the?
How about this young lady right here? Yeah. Hi, sweetheart.
Hi.
You mentioned quitting drinking earlier. Today is actually my
Oh, congratulations.
I think of it as like the easiest decision to make the first time and then the hardest decision I've had to make every day since then. And so I was wondering if you have any advice or any wisdom about that.
Something that I keep in the forefront of my mind is do the next right thing, but one thing at a time. You know, you don't have to have all the answers or solve everything all at once, you know, and there's so much forgiveness that you can give yourself, you know, you know, uh, you know, life happens, you know, and we're all searching for something, you know, to fill a void or whatever, but there is so much happiness in knowing that you, and I can see this in your face, you do not need anything but your own magic, you know, to give you those feelings and to give you that peace. So I'm so proud of you, darling.
Yeah, congrats.
I think we have time for just one more, I'm afraid, but
You go ahead.
the
Okay,
pressure.
let's go in the back. All
No.
right. Hey, buddy. How you doing?
Yes,
Go get him.
the waiver.
I had a million questions about all of your collaborations and covers, but I'm not going to ask any of those. I saw you guys at the Forum with Volbeat right after Ozzy.
Oh, yeah.
And right in the middle of that show, you start off with one of the songs that his catalog is huge to me, and I won't get into why. How did you come up with Perry Mason as the cover that you guys are going to do right after Ozzy's death? Because that was amazing for me. Again,
Yes.
sidebar. But I just had to know why you, of that entire book of possibilities, how does Perry Mason come up with the song you play live?
Well, what I loved about it is that nobody was going to touch that era. Like of everybody on that lineup, it's like that. You know, we're '90s kids, and so that was like, you know, for a lot of us, that was where we were introduced.
Yeah, listening to the radio in the '90s.
Yeah.
That was my first Ozzy song that you know the old ones.
You know
'cause
the old ones.
It was in the air growing up,
But the brilliant thing about Ozzy is that he was relevant in every single decade. You know
Yeah.
that? You know, it was like he was working something.
and we always loved Perry Mason. And when Tom Morello asked us to play that one at Back to the Beginning, that was where we first played it. Well, actually, you used to cover it when
We covered it back in
before I
the
was
bar
in the
days.
band.
Yeah.
In the late '90s, and so you
Playing
were
to like 9
"I already
people and
kinda
the
know
sound
that."
guy.
Yeah. And so after he passed, like we weren't playing it into the set after the Back to the Beginning, but then Ozzy passed, and we are like, we have to start playing that again.
Yeah.
You know, because you just it's for everybody, because everyone wants to go to a show and say bye, and not everyone got to be there, even if you watched it, and maybe you get to be a part of that a
Yeah.
little bit. You know. I think.
Beautifully played. Well, thank you, everyone. And I think we are going to exit for a few moments, tune a guitar, and then they will be back to perform for you.
Tune it
So
up.
sit tight, everyone.
I got to get my guitar
Thank you,
tech out
everybody.
here. Get my guitar tech to do this.